Hey, it's Sparky, Fifer, 1250 AM, The Fan, along with our guy, Dwight Albrecht, over there at the Spare Time Pro Shop. Follow him on Twitter at Dewey300. You can follow my guy, Phil Brylow, $2 Phil at Brew City Bowling. You can follow me at Sparky Radio. We're going to recap the 2024 PBA League Elite League Draft. They really need a title sponsor like Pepsi, PBA draft or something. We need a title sponsor. That's the goal for next year. We'll see how that works out. Okay, so lots to get into concerning the PBA draft show. Before we do that, and we will do that, Dwight, if people are last minute Christmas shopping for the holidays or whatever the case may be, what's the hot items that people are coming in and wanting to buy inside the Spare Time Pro Shop in New Berlin? Because look, dad may bowl, mom may bowl, kids may have no idea what's good, what's not good, but I want to get mom or dad, a new ball because I think that would be pretty cool, but they don't know where to start.
Right.
So what would you say?
Well, what we suggest is gift certificates because we are such a specialized sport. But bags and shoes are typically the last minute items. Balls have to be something that we have to be discussed with. Phil and I were just talking about that before the show started and how many ball releases are coming out that pro shops can't even keep up with it. And so it just really becomes very specialized for that individual person. Bags and shoes are a little bit more generic. And so those are usually good last minute presents, but we always recommend gift certificates just so we have a chance to really dial in what the person needs.
Let me follow up now with going the other way. Let's say it's an adult and we're buying a bowling ball or something along those lines for our kids, depending on age or whatever the case may be. Which way do they go there? Because I think a lot of parents are like, oh, cool, there's one here at Walmart I'm going to get. Or look here, there's one at Dunham's or Dick's. I'm just going to get one of these. What would you say to those parents?
Keep it simple. When you're dealing with a kid, keep it simple. Usually hard plastic. Our job is to select the correct weight based off age and build and to do our job and make sure they're properly fitted.
Right. So from that perspective, it doesn't matter where they get it from as long as it's hard plastic.
Hard plastic is hard plastic. Yeah. I mean, I really don't think it's going to matter. For years, decades, the commercial line plastic balls that you saw at department stores, what very few people carry anymore. I know Kmart was like one of the last. Dunham sells pre-drilled plastic balls, but they're made by the same manufacturers, but they're just not a commercial brand.
Right.
They're not in a catalog.
Yeah.
It's not a licensed brand of plastic balls.
The one thing I've realized is it is hard to find kids bowling shoes online or whatever the case may be. Because I mean, he's size 1. So it is very, very difficult to try and find. I mean, you literally have like 2 brands that you may have an option of, and that is it.
KR Strikeforce makes them. We tried it the first couple of years we were open. They sat and collected dust.
I bet. Because a lot of people would rather just rent and have the Velcro or whatever else.
Well, the biggest thing was they'll outgrow them before they outwear them.
Sure. Yeah, my kid doesn't grow, so I don't have that issue.
And a lot of the junior leagues include the shoes for the kids.
No, we don't pay for them. They're just disgusting. Like I'd rather have him have his own shoes than have the disgusting rental shoes.
Yep.
I know you spray the aerosol cans in them and all that, and that's supposed to make things better. I don't. What it is.
Sanitizing spray.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah. It's still disgusting. Either way you look at it. Okay, so those are some
Everyone
of the...
should have their own shoes.
Right. And the reason I'm bringing this up is so we're not going to do shows for the next couple of weeks, right? So the next thing you hear from us will be coming up after New Year's in January. Will be our next show after this one. So I just want to kind of get this out there. Let Dwight promote the pro shop, get some balls and items out there that he thinks are the hot. What's the hot bowling ball that people are buying right now?
Oh, right now that's easy. Right now, Brunswick came out with a ball called the DVA Violent Collision, and right in the name it says violent. So it is a real skid flippy, big hooking pearl, and that matches up to a lot of league bowlers and tournament bowlers. And that thing is sizzling hot right now.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How much is it, Dwight?
$239 drilled from us without inserts. We had 7 pre-orders on it, which is huge for a new ball. And then already 4 additional. The ball's been out a week. So we sold already 11 of that one ball.
So you've already had people in-house bowling in league with it already?
Yes.
So you've been out there to watch it?
Yes.
And?
It's a strong pearl.
It is.
Yeah. It's a very strong pearl.
For the spray and pray bowler, it's the best ball of the year for 2023 is what I've heard.
That's me.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of league bowlers, spray and pray.
Spray and pray, right. And spraying and praying, you can still average 200 nowadays.
Right.
So, which is fine. Okay, he is Phil Brylow, Dwight Albrecht, Steve Sparky Fifer. Let's go over this PBA draft thing they did Wednesday night. Okay, so a couple of things changed. So you weren't able to keep 3, you had to keep 2. So they eliminated a couple teams. We talked about that last week on the Spare Time Bowling Show. So going in, the pool of players was bigger going into this thing. First pick was Dom Barrett to LAX. And again, other first round picks in order: Cooley, Lavoie, Moore, Ogle, Maldonado. What's Malott at 7? I don't. And Stu Williams at 8. Those were the first round picks. Was Dom Barrett the guy that should have won first overall, in your opinion, Phil Brylow?
Yeah, shot maker.
Easy.
Absolute shot maker. You look at the first 4 guys: shot maker, shot maker, shot maker, shot maker.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are getting out. They're going to get their 15 minutes of practice on the pair, and they're only bowling 2 Baker games in these matches. So the conditions basically going to be fresh. These guys, some of these guys like do really well once the lanes open up and they can, grip it and rip it and everything else. They're not going to have time for the lane to develop. It's just not going to happen. So that's why you saw those shot makers go first. It's not like previous years where, okay, who's got the best shot at Bayside on the Mark Roth type of thing. They're bowling on every single PBA pattern. Whatever the pattern is for the week at that center, that's what they're bowling on in league. So you have to have the shot makers that can find something as they play the lane front to back. They're going to be able to see where their break point is, and then the other teammates can all make that adjustment off the break point using the front part of the lane, because the front part of the lane is still going to be pretty fresh, even when they get into that second Baker match in the night. Yeah, I wasn't surprised by any of those first 4 picks.
My only thought on that is in that round 1, I would have took out BJ Moore, Ogle, maybe possibly Malott, possibly I would have replaced it with Jason Sterner, second round, Chris Barnes, Jake Peters, if you're still going after that shot maker type of role.
How much does Barnes have left in him?
I think a lot.
Yeah.
He's still good?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I am very anxious to see.
Because if Chris Barnes is Chris Barnes, he's won. He's the first pick. So clearly they don't think that Barnes is Barnes anymore. You fall the second round. That means those guys making those selections don't believe Chris Barnes is Chris Barnes, right? Because if Chris Barnes is Chris Barnes, he's won. If Chris Barnes is Chris Barnes, he's on a team already.
I think part of that was that the Ballards figured that Barnes was going to drop in the second round, and they wanted their shot maker with BJ Moore. Dell and CDB both have had BJ on their team before. He's got 3 Elias Cups under his belt. He has the experience. I don't fault him.
Barnes. I know Barnes has experience. I'm not questioning that. But I'm just saying he's the guy that he was. Because when you look at this, you go, maybe not. I mean, you didn't see him on TV. I mean, last year he wasn't somebody that was on TV regularly anymore. That's not a thing anymore with him.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean that's why I was asking the question.
Well, what I think everyone missed is Graham Fa. I mean, the guy struck every time.
Yep.
And I don't know if he can repeat
almost
that
fell
again,
into the third round. He went all the way to the 7th pick in the second round of Portland.
Once again, you're looking at an entire season this year instead of who's going to be the good lefty I need in Portland.
Right.
And I think that's one of the reasons why you had a Buttroff and a couple other lefties fall way back this year, because if you look at how it's feast or famine for the lefties.
Yep.
And you only get them for 4 shots in a match. So they better make 4 really good shots.
But they do really well at Portland.
Oh, yeah. If they get there, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to get there this year. There's only taken 6 of the teams out of the 8 to the finals.
If I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I mean, I fall all the way to the third round. You're damn right I'm pissed. It ain't like that dude hasn't done anything in his career and doesn't deserve to be higher than that. But again, it's all based on, again, strategy and everything else. And I can get down with that, and I understand that, and we'll see who was right. All right, let's go over these rosters because this is fun. I saw somebody on Twitter, and I laughed out loud, like, hey, Belmonte should take Sean Rash. Now we'd have something. Hey, I'm with you. That would have been fun. And Belmonte takes Sean Rash and have them on the same team. Now,
never going to happen.
No, of course not. But it would have been fun. It would have been a good storyline. Oh my God.
Can
it
you
would have
see
been
each other
amazing.
giving high fives or a little hug?
Yeah.
I don't think crossing those 2 off the list of his ever bowling. I think someday it could, if the rosters juggle around again.
No way.
Yeah, I think the time has mellowed things. Honestly, they're both under brands of Storm Bowling as well, and they've done and they're out there all the time, and I don't think it's the Cold War it was between those two 10 years ago, that type of thing.
Clue me in here because I'm not in the loop necessarily because we were not doing this for a while, and you guys I'm sure were still locked in. So how did he end up at Storm Rash?
Wasn't happy with Brunswick.
So it was his choice. They didn't say we're good, we're moving on. he said, I'm good, I'm moving on.
I
and
think
he
it
went
was
to
pretty
Storm.
by the time that happened 5 years ago, I think it was pretty mutual.
Pretty mutual that he was done.
There was things coming out of both directions on not agreeing with each other and personality clashes and that type of thing.
No.
Yeah.
A personality clash
Yeah.
with Sean?
Yeah.
Never.
That would have been a good question for Chuck Gardner, because I feel sorry for Chuck if he had to be the one to take care of Sean.
Well, back in the time frame, yeah,
Yes.
it was. Chuck was the lead guy out on tour rep for Brunswick.
He
at
was
the time.
the psychologist for Sean.
Well, now
every day.
Well, you look at Storm Bowling from last year and the performances. You know, they had enough guys. They're always going to have enough guys make the shows and stuff like that. And now Jim Callahan's coming. They announced it this week that Jim Callahan's coming back, and he's going to be like the big guy on tour. He's going to be like their version of how Chuck Gardner was, a few years back before Chuck cut back. And now Callahan's coming back on tour, and he's going to be the guy in charge of the other ball reps and out there at probably a lot of the events as well. I'm sure we'll see Jim, and Jim's been one of the guys that's been instrumental for successes of guys like Frankie Lavoie and even a bit of Belmo and that type of thing.
Guys they trust,
right?
Or a guy that they trust,
right?
Yeah. All right. So LAX, Belmonte, McCune, we knew all that. Barrett, Keiko, Darren Tang, Kevin Williams. Thoughts, Phil Brylow?
Strong lineup. Mm-hmm. Barrett, you have as your shot maker. It wouldn't surprise me if Barrett led off every match this year. The shots were the left side's got to look. You'll see Kevin Williams in there. The three guys you're going to see rotating a line a lot are going to be Keiko, Tang, and Williams. I mean, it's going to be condition specific to the week, and there's going to be weeks these guys are going to have to understand to be patient. That there's going to be weeks where they're cheerleading, they're the extra set of eyes for the team, that type of thing. And so it's going to be interesting to see how some of these players react as the season goes on if they don't get in the league for 2 or 3 weeks in a row, which will probably happen with the lefties. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. So
that's LAX. Let's go to Motown Muscle. EJ Tackett, Anthony Simonson. Very good. Then it's Sam Cooley, Jason Sterner, Justin Knowles, and Zach Tackett. A Tackett with a Tackett. I know, we're all surprised. Yeah. But having said that, when you go down and you look at these lists, I kind of look at it like the NBA to a degree. And maybe I shouldn't. Maybe Dwight, you'll tell me I'm nuts. In the NBA, when you get to a playoff series, normally the best player in the series team wins most of the time. So if Michael Jordan is in a series with the Bulls, regardless of who he's with, normally they're going to win because he's going to be the best player in the series. Right. If Shaq is in a series in his prime, he's going to win the series because more than likely he's the best player. Giannis, for the most part, gets to a series. Now, maybe not as much with Giannis because they've gotten upset several times, but you would think that would be the best player. I kind of look at this and say the top 2 players on each team, whoever has the best top 2 is probably going to win these Baker formats. Maybe that's wrong because you got 3 other guys, and maybe it doesn't work that way in the Baker format and bowling. But EJ Tackett and Anthony Simonson, that is tough, Dwight.
I think it's the weak link when you have this format. We saw it last year. We were talking about who was going to be the one on that team that was going to have that big open and allow the other team to win because you get just 2 shots at it. So we have to look at these formats on, okay, who's the weak link? Like I look at LAX and I agree with Phil's strong team, but I think the weak link in there could be Keiko and Darren Tang. Motown Muscle, I think, is pretty evenly split out. Maybe Zach Tackett because of his inexperience being on TV. That could be the possible weak link. Justin Knowles already has been on TV. So I like those first 2 teams. I think they could go far.
The other thing too about this is talking about a Zach Tackett for a second, right? Yeah. Or Knowles, because I don't think he was on a team previously.
No, first year.
When you get into that situation, I don't know if you necessarily understand the pressure that maybe comes with it when you're in one of these PBA league things. Now, maybe the pressure won't be felt as much because you're in these random cities around the country. You're not in bowling heaven. So maybe the crowd won't be there. Maybe it'll just feel like just normal bowling and that pressure won't be there. But a lot of times when you get in this PBA league matches, there's a lot of pressure of not wanting to screw up and so forth.
Absolutely.
And how they handle that being in this team format is something else. And I think that's a great point by Dwight as far as how do they handle that from a mental perspective.
Well, I think one thing to keep in mind this year too is that you're going to be throwing more than 4 shots for your season. That's all you had in Portland last year. I mean, or you had 2 shots for your season if you're in the bottom 5
right last
year. You had 2 shots for your entire season. And you saw some guys that didn't respond really well to that.
And then guys that did, like Graham Fox.
Right. And so this year, I think with the longer format, nobody's going to go through 14 Baker game matches without at least 1 or 2 opens. I mean, I don't care if you're EJ Tackett, you're going to make a mistake here or there. And I think that's going to help some of these younger guys like a Justin Knowles and a Zach Tackett, where, they're going to have time to gel with the other players on their team after the first week or two and start to make things happen. And as the team managers, or if the manager's not there, apparently the captain gets to make the call, because some weeks the managers might not be there. They'll designate a captain, and the captain will get things done. And it's going to be a little less instant pressure. You saw it last year with Frank Snodgrass. He did not have a really good first couple of shots out there, but then he turned around once the teammates got him settled down and lined up, man. He didn't miss.
Yep.
I mean,
the Purple Hammer too.
Right. And then it was just, here we go. Let's just ride this to the win. So, yeah. So I think the format helps with some of these picks where they're going to realize that you don't have to, it's not 2 balls and you're done, or it's not 4 balls and you're done type thing.
Akron Adams Splitters. You could have given me all kinds of cities around the country to pick where they would have a league team. Akron would not be one of them. But either way, here we are. Chris Vi, Jesper Svensson, the top 2. That's pretty good. We just talked about Svensson the other day, about he kind of hasn't lived up maybe to the hype that a lot of people had on him. Lavoie, Doherty, who knows how that's going to go. Dick Allen, everybody likes him. And Nick Pate, rounding out these top 5. I think it's a nice team.
It is.
I don't know if it's we're going to win the whole thing necessarily, but I think it's 1 through 3 and maybe 1 through 4 if Doherty is on. It's going to be very formidable.
Well, and with Doherty, he's kind of like a second captain or second set of eyes for Mark Baker being the manager of that team. Doherty has the experience out there, and Doherty's bowled under Baker's watch before. And that's one of the reasons why Baker picked him when he saw Doherty was still available in that second draft round, is like, he's going to be a great fit for my team, and he's going to be a great fit with everybody that I have on the team as well. So that's why Doherty was that second round pickup, which I thought was, once it got down to him, I thought maybe they let him try to slide another round, but Baker wasn't going to wait.
Let me ask you this. So when I was in my 20s, I was angry a lot, partied a lot, and now mid 40s and party 0, have kids, right? And still angry quite a bit, mostly at the 16-year-old. But for the most part, not nearly as angry as I used to be, right? A lot more mellow, even though my kids wouldn't believe me. So that's kind of how it is. With Doherty, have you seen any change in Doherty from, say, 10 years ago to Tom Doherty now? Because outside looking in, back when I used to go World Series of Bowling and kind of got to know these guys, I would have a better feel of what's going on. Now that I'm not, I don't have as much of a feel other than what I see on TV. Outside looking in, again, it appears he's the same dude. Because if he's same dude, then I am going to still, my question on Doherty is still going to be the same, because if he's right, dude, he's a rock star.
Yeah.
If he's wrong, his mojo can bring everybody around on him, depending on how he's feeling. That would be my concern on Doherty. But again, outside looking in, Phil, you've been around him much more than I have the last few years.
The drive on the lanes is the same, if not more, for Tom. And I think that really winning the World Championship a couple of years back really helped enforce that in him. Off the lane, I don't see these guys off the lanes much, to be honest. But when I see Tom on the lanes, man, it's business, and he gets down to work, and he's not out there going through the motions, that type of thing.
I don't ever worry about him going through the motions.
Yeah.
I more worry about the physical demeanor of seeing him wearing his emotions. And when you're on a team and you make a couple of bad shots or whatever else, I don't need to see you like dying outwardly while everybody else is trying to figure out how to win this thing. Like, you've got to be able to move and forget about it and root on your guys and get back in the middle of this thing. It's kind of like being a cornerback that gets beat for a touchdown, or, missing a shot, or whatever the case may be. You can't have that. You've got to be able to be like, okay, I screwed up. Fine. It is what it is. Let me see if I can help these other guys out, find a different line for them or whatever, and be that great teammate. Individual bowling, you want to screw yourself, have at it. But when you're on a team, you don't get that opportunity, because if you do that, then you're being selfish and you're not a good teammate.
I see him as more of an individual bowler than a team bowler, because he is one of those guys that takes care of business. You're right. When you're in a team type of format, you have to be like, all of them have to be like a cheerleader, cheering on the other bowler when they're on there. And he's pretty subdued.
Yeah. I just think I don't think Baker would have taken him if he wasn't in it for the team. I really don't, because Mark's been around so much competition internationally with teams, that type of thing as well. He's not going to get the guy that looks for himself. I think there's just something that Baker sees that we might not be seeing, or Baker hears that we might not be hearing.
Look, if you look at Tom Doherty, when he's on, like I said, he's on. And I'm not saying he doesn't want his teammates to do well or win. But again, I've been there. Right. I've watched Dwight be there. So when you're not bowling well and things are going wrong, you get pissed at yourself and you start getting in your own head and you're just thinking about the last shot and you can't let it go. That's fine when you're single bowling, but when you're team bowling, my point is he can't be sitting there for 3 frames pissed off at himself and everybody else is trying to get going and keep the positive vibes up. And there's Tom kind of in his own head, still thinking about how he screwed up. That's what I'm talking about.
I just haven't seen that on the TV shows with Tom. I like I said, and I've seen enough of them. I just have never seen that with no matter who his teammates have been.
It'll be fun to see how
it's going to be. I mean, hey, Tom, if you're listening, get on the show.
He won't be anymore. Okay, New Jersey Kingpins, Marshall Kent, Packy Hanrahan, BJ Moore, Chris Barnes, Kyle Sherman, Richie Treese. They're a fun team. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are a lot of fun guys on that team. Hanrahan's fun. Sherman's fun. Barnes is cool. BJ Moore, Marshall Kent, probably one of the more likable teams out there. Solid, right? Mm-hmm. I would say solid 1 through 4. Maybe Kyle Sherman is kind of in that area somewhere along those lines. Again, nice team. I don't know if they have enough to win it, but it's a nice team, Phil.
I think Kyle Sherman and Richie Teese are the wild cards on this team.
Agreed.
And it's just a matter of you've got great shot makers with Moore, Barnes, and Kent. You've got Hanrahan there when the left side's going to be looking real sweet. Packy won twice last year. He knows what it's like to be a winner now. He's won Elias Cup before when he was with Portland for a season. It's Sherman and Teese and what the Ballards can do to get them focused and lined up with everybody else and not making the mental mistake where all of a sudden it's the washout or the split type of thing.
How big of a deal is it to have the Ballards together coaching a team, Dwight?
That's going to be a new experience for all of us, won't it? God, they both bring so much experience.
Yeah. Yep. I love them both.
Del,
I think they're both great.
Smart. So I guess time will tell. I didn't think she made good decisions last year when she was on TV and she moved and changed her lineup and it backfired on her, on Carolyn. So we'll see what they do together. Maybe the collaboration will, help. Yeah. I see a couple guys on that team, Kent and BJ. You got to be careful when you have all that power, because then you could also have those super big splits pop up in a Baker format 2-game match that can take you out again. So you got that marriage of power and control, and those guys have a history of leaving a Greek church or a 4-count on TV very easily.
All right, let's talk about the Las Vegas High Rollers. This team is intriguing as all hell to me. So Andrew Anderson, AJ Johnson, great feature on AJ Johnson on WBBM radio down in Chicago. Just saw it today on social media, retweeted it. Great story on AJ about the Olympics and all that stuff. So make sure to check that out. So Andrew Anderson, AJ Johnson, Matt Ogle, Matt Russo, and how the stars have fallen. Sean Rash and Thomas Larson at the bottom. And again, Thomas Larson was another one of those young guns that, years ago that was coming, and everybody was like, oh, here we go. He's going to be another one of those guys. Yeah. And then Sean Rash has had all of his physical issues. So I'm not going to sit here and bash Sean Rash for being this low, because he's battling all kinds of physical issues. Who knows where, he's going to be. When did you say that surgery was?
He had it a couple of weeks back. He had ablation surgery, so they burned off nerves in his back.
Oh my
Jeff
God.
Riggles from 11frame.com had a nice interview with Sean he posted yesterday.
Oh, I've seen it.
So a really nice interview with Sean. If you don't subscribe to 11th Frame,
you should.
You should. He's the most focused independent bowling journalist there is by far.
Not even close.
And and so Sean, he is he going to be ready for week 1 at the Players Championship? He's going to try his damnedest, but if he's not going to risk an entire season on it,
don't do it. Yeah, I would say you play it as safe as possible.
And then Thomas Larson, his girlfriend was pregnant last year, had medical issues, so he spent most of his time back home in Denmark. He's one of the hardest practicers there. He posts to social media all the time, clips of him practicing or bowling stuff in Denmark or Europe or that type of thing. He's coming back over sharp. I wouldn't count him out. He fell to the 6th round because he wasn't out on tour last year.
If Rash and Larson are right, that team's really good.
Yeah.
If they're right.
Agreed.
If they're right. If Rash
Right.
is physically limited after this back surgery and isn't right, that hurts.
Mhm.
Yes.
If Larson isn't that guy that Phil says he could be, that hurts too. Then it's going to be tough. Because I don't know if you have enough to win if Russo is your 4. I guess I'll say that. Put it that
Well,
way.
once again,
I like
a lefty,
Anderson.
yeah.
I like AJ
Lefty.
Johnson. I'm good with Ogle. He did well last year, right?
Yep.
Russo, I'm not there on Russo if
Yep,
he's 4.
But he struck every shot but one
That's true.
But
last year.
that's once you get to Portland. You got to get to
Right.
Portland
You
first.
gotta get to
You
Portland.
got
that's-
all these other
no,
centers.
Two
I was-
teams are not going to make it to
Right.
Portland.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching all these fans on the Bull TV
Milwaukee and
draft.
Chicago didn't make it to the draft.
Right.
I was watching the Bull TV stream last night, and there were just all these fans just getting all upset about how guys were getting picked and going and that type of thing. It's like, fans, you got to remember, there's 14 2-game Baker matches making up the season. It's not like these guys are going to Portland right away.
Right.
No, but this is this is the thing, Phil. You want that. You want the emotions. You want the fans
I
arguing about who
understand.
should go where. It's like the NFL draft or whatever. You
Yeah.
want that. The one
Yeah.
thing you don't want is everybody going, this is boring. This
Right.
kind of
Oh, yeah.
sucks. Like you want them. Dude, what the hell are they doing at that pick?
Right.
That's what you want. If I'm Tom Clark and I see that, I'm going, okay, people are paying attention to have an opinion. That
Right.
and again, and I'm gonna kind of sort of toot the horn of this show.
Yeah.
That's what kind of makes this a little bit different than a lot of these other shows.
Yeah.
With all due respect to the rest of you, a lot of the other shows are, pro bowling, don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. And it's not really kind of a sports talk show type deal.
Right.
And I don't give a crap. And we just go. And that's kind of how it works a little bit differently. You want fans to treat bowling like they treat
Right.
the NFL or Major League Baseball or the NBA and are critical of their franchises for doing dumb things or praising them for doing good things or whatever. That's what you want. You want that. The other thing I have a question on, because it just popped in my head, what about trades?
Yeah, there's a trade window right now. There's going to be another trade window in March. So they've got 2 trade windows. They'll also have a waiver wire where if a team gets down to 4 players because of injuries or whatever absences there are, they're going to be able to pick up available players that were eligible off the waiver wire.
Belmonte
During the
should
season
trade for
too.
Rash. Yep. I want Belmonte to trade for Rash. Could you imagine? It would blow. Phil, I'm telling you, it would blow up.
Oh, yeah.
It would.
Oh, there's no
People
doubt.
would lose their minds if that happened.
Yeah.
That would be great. And then you go to Sean, and Sean's got like his back brace on. He's kind of laid up in bed or whatever else. He's like in a ton of pain. And it's just F you, Jason. I still can't stand you, or something like that. That's the response from like the bed. You're making like a WWE style response or whatever the case may be.
Do
Whatever.
a crotch chop.
Yeah,
at him.
right. Yeah. F you. I'm still better than you. You better not blow this for our team. Blah, 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 blah. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, my
I mean,
God.
there's a 10-day window now, so who knows? And
I know. It ain't happening. Okay.
yeah.
Go Bowling Dallas Strikers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Norm tried drafting himself, by the way, last night, in case you missed that.
I did miss
He was
that.
going to, you sent the draft pick to Tom, and it was him.
And Tom
So-
said, no, you can't
Tom
do
said, no,
that.
you can't.
Well, that's too bad.
And then the next round, Belmo said he wanted to draft the Tackett's new baby boy. So
That's good. Now that's smart. I like that.
So
For future considerations,
Right,
I get the
so-
baby.
yeah, so Eddie Dean Tackett's going to be eligible 2041 probably. So yeah,
Ooh, Eddie
yeah.
Dean. I
Eddie
like
Dean.
that.
Yeah.
Dean.
That
Did
is
Did
nice.
Risk come out in a cup position?
I didn't know. I haven't. I just saw the social media post from Natalie and EJ last night. So
That's good. Congratulations.
it sounds like all's well with them. So.
Okay, so Tommy Jones, Bill O'Neill, Sean Maldonado, Jake Peters, Jacob Buttriff, Frank Snodgrass.
Mhm.
If Buttriff is Buttriff, they're going to have a chance. That's my thoughts on this. Now, again, we can be critical of whether or not Tommy Jones should be in this situation of being a one on a team or whatever the case is, because, again, he's older like Barnes and so forth, but it is what it is. But I love O'Neill. I love Buttriff. Peters and Maldonado, I think, are pretty solid, right? I don't worry as much about them. Snodgrass, you have no idea. I mean, he did well last year, like Phil pointed out, once they got him all straightened out.
Yeah.
And then Tommy Jones. But if Buttriff is Buttriff and Buttriff is the best bowler on this team, then I think now you have a legitimate chance at it.
He's got a leg injury, doesn't he?
He's back. He bowled the tournament in St. Louis last weekend, and he bowled 20 some games in the weekend and got through it fine.
Okay.
So there's some lingering things on that. There's some lingering personal issues
What about
with Jacob.
O'Neill?
I think that made him drop down the draft order, and I think that's just why he didn't go out till the 5th round.
Okay, wasn't O'Neill not 100% last year also, and that's why he tried 14 pounds of weight.
Well, no. The O'Neal missed the league because of a different injury, and that's why they brought DJ Archer on for the strikers right before. So Bill tried to get through the injury, couldn't do it. Bill's fine now, so he's ready for the season.
Is he back to 15-pound weight?
Yeah, he was back to 15-pound weight before the end of the season last year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What do you think of this team, Phil?
I like it. You get Norm behind you. You get his experience, and he's so good at reading lanes. And if Norm makes a lot of the stops as the manager, and can see that one extra thing for a guy that the other manager or captain misses, that could be the difference in a match.
Yep.
I think when you look at the captains on this thing, I think you're looking at the best captain out there with Norm by far. And I think he can make a strike a game difference for his teams just from being there and just for watching his guys and watching the ball motion and everything else.
I'm going to miss seeing Johnny and Marshall.
Yeah.
As managers.
Yeah.
Marshall Holman should be in the TV booth. I'm going to keep saying it until somebody listens to me over there. Pete Weber should be in the TV booth.
Yeah.
Marshall Holman should be in the TV booth.
Absolutely.
Not together.
Right.
Not together. I don't think I trust that.
Yeah.
1 week.
But,
Yeah, 1 week that guy.
but during PBA league match play like this,
Right.
they should introduce that third man into the booth throughout it, right? Let Marshall do a couple of weeks. Let Pete Weber do a couple of weeks
Absolutely.
during PBA league. Make it feel a little bit more special.
Yes.
By having those other guys in there.
Right.
And go from there and bring back some of these other guys that have done it in the past and put them in the booth with Randy. And I'm guessing Rob Stone will not be doing these. So whoever they decide to put in there to do the play-by-play. Portland Lumberjacks. Now, this has chance to be interesting. Kyle Troop, Chris Prather. Again, we go top two. They're going to have a chance to win it immediately. Wes Malott, again, if healthy and everything is okay with his back and everything else, okay. Graham Faw, we saw what he did last year, obviously. But again, as Phil's pointed out, we are not in bowling heaven for all of these. Tom Smallwood and Arturo Quintero, very entertaining, if nothing else. Yeah. Okay, Phil Brylow. I love the top two. I may love the top four if Wes is healthy. Your thoughts?
I think Smallwood's the sneaky pick. I think Smallwood, especially on the fresh and his unique ball roll and everything, I think he could be a big difference on a lot of conditions. There's going to be weeks where you might see Quintero in there instead of Fa. You're going to see that core three no matter what with Troop, Prather, and Malott.
You know what they should do? I just thought of this. They should have made a rule where the first bowler and the second bowler, the two keepers, each have to sit out one Baker game at some point during that lead up to bowling heaven. They each have to miss one game. You have to pick out which game you're going to miss. Yeah. You can bowl the second game, but you each have to miss, or whatever, the first game, but you each have to miss one game throughout the run. You have to pick where that one game is going to be and who it's going to be against.
See, I think a fun format, we did some tournaments like this locally here in Milwaukee, is a true alternate shot. Your five guy, like if your first bowler, like if Kyle Troop leaves a 10 pin, Prather would have to step up and make the spare, and then Malott would be up in the second frame to throw the first ball.
I love that.
I think that'd be great. Even more exciting because they do it in Ryder Cup. They do alternate shot. I was watching the PBA, the PGA and LPGA tournament this past weekend where they're doing alternate shot, and it was a lot of fun to watch.
Or what if you did this? What if you said 1 through 5 bowls like normal, but the sixth bowler is your spare shot maker for everybody for that game?
I think you're going to see that a lot.
What if you did that? What if you said the sixth bowler is to give me the guy, you have to pick up all the spares for your team. 1 through 5 is throwing the first ball. The sixth guy doesn't throw a first ball the whole match, but he's got to go through and pick up spares. So he may bowl 3-4 frames in a row, picking up whatever the guy leaves in front of him.
Yeah. Then you got to look at on your lineup, who's the best spare shooter.
Correct. And now do you risk the best spare shooter is Kyle Troop? Are you taking him out of the first ball then?
Right.
To have him be the
part of it.
Right. Yeah. I think that would be fun.
Well, the one you look at it, who do you want shooting at a 1-2-4-10 washout if Kyle Troop leaves it? Do you want Kyle shooting it again? Or if a lefty shoots at it, that's right in his pocket. And that head pin's going right towards that 10 pin and got a lot better chance of taking it out than the ball going away from it.
Yeah, but the same thing could be if it's on the other side, that lefty still has to shoot that same shot.
Right. But then the righty can come. Yeah, then the righty can come in. If, let's say the lefty leaves a 7 pin in the 9th frame, you want to make sure you get that spare. Bring the guy in off the bench. Bring the righty off the bench.
No. What I'm saying is it's mandatory.
Yeah.
One for the whole game.
Right.
That bowler, that sixth bowler, picks up everybody's spares.
Oh, everybody. Okay.
Everybody.
Okay.
So you have to make the determination of who is the sixth bowler.
Right.
That sixth bowler does not bowl a first ball the whole game.
Yeah.
But he has to pick up, so if Quintero, let's say, is the sixth bowler in this format, he picks up the spares for Troop, Prather, Malat, Fa, and Smallwood. He's the spare guy. He's the one that bowls that second shot.
Yeah.
So now you have to make the determination of, hey, Wes, I love you, but you're going to be our sixth guy because I feel more comfortable with you making spares this whole time than I do with Quintero or somebody else. That really adds a whole nother element of strategy to it if you want that.
Well, there we go. That's two new formats that Tom can incorporate in the 2025 season.
Yep.
There you go.
We're here for you, Tom.
Idea, guys.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, if you just take us up to Maddie's Bar and Grill, you buy, Tom. We have lots of ideas. I mean, New Berlin over here. Okay, Waco Wonders, the last team. Parker Bone the third. Ryan Simonelli. Ryan Simonelli is as focused and just angry at the world as he was last year into this thing. You got something. Whether or not he will be, don't know. Stu Williams, I've always had a soft spot for Stu. Love Stu. Mitch Hoope, DJ Archer, and Tom Hess. This team does nothing for me past Parker Bone. So Parker Bone's the only one that I'm even remotely thinking has anything really to offer. Simonelli, I think last year was a revenge kind of screw you everybody. I don't know if you can recapture that again. I think that's tough.
Yeah,
Stu Williams,
so much emotional for him.
Yeah, I'm not sure Stu Williams has been Stu Williams for a while. Mitch Hoope, okay. DJ Archer, Tom has to do nothing for me.
No.
So yeah, that if I had to line these up, they'd be my last team.
I'd agree. I think that's probably going to be one of the two teams that don't make it to Portland.
And if any of you are listening to me and are pissed off at me, that's fine. Then go do something, and then I'll say I was wrong. But I have no faith in this team whatsoever. And it's unfortunate because Waco, Texas is the home of Fixer Upper and Magnolia Gardens and all that fun stuff that's going on. They have built a brand new hotel that they redid. There's a half-hour show that we've been watching. We went online and looked. It's only $450 tonight if you'd like to stay there. Okay, Phil, your thoughts.
This team is going to be the feast or famine team. They're either going to finish in the top two or the bottom two. I don't see them being a middling team. If Parker can get everybody working together, you've got a great shot maker.
Who's the manager of this team?
Parker Bone. Parker's the player manager.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
who are you guys thinking are going to be the two teams that won't make it to Portland, Maine? I can tell you who my two would be.
Will not make it.
Will not make it.
Well,
to Portland.
Waco is one.
Yep.
And my other one.
I can tell you what I think I would be. Waco's going to be one. I think it's going to be Dallas Strikers would be the other.
Yep, I agree.
That will not make it to Portland.
But again, to me, it relies on Buttriff. If Buttriff bowls like a true one, then I think they have a chance to advance. If Buttriff bowls where he was drafted and bowls like the fifth best player on the team, they're screwed. I think it all comes down to Jacob Buttriff.
I'm going Adams Splitters and Lumberjacks miss it. I'm saying Portland doesn't make it back to hometown.
Freaking way Kyle Troop and Chris Prather are not making it. There's no way. No way. No, I'll bet you on that myself. There's no freaking way. No
Dinner
chance.
at Maddie's. Here we go.
Fine. Done. No problem. All right. So Portland, who was the other one? I lost. You lost.
Portland and Akron. And the Adams Splitters.
Sure. Akron, I can see possibly being a fiasco. Yes. Yeah. I could see Akron being a fiasco.
I don't think the Lumber.
Yes, for Lavoie, Doherty.
I have a feeling.
No way.
You need.
Let me tell you something.
Five
if the Lumberjacks don't make it, you will find Tom Clark shaking naked in the fetal, crying himself to sleep at night. If that damn team doesn't make it to bowling heaven, I'm telling you right now, it would be the absolute worst thing that could happen to the PBA Tour if that team does not make it to bowling heaven, which is their home joint. Holy crap, that would be awful. No, it can't happen.
But look at that lineup.
Find some kids behind there and knock pins down for them. Do what you got to do. But they got to get to Portland, folks. Yes. That's just a deal. I'm sorry.
But look at that lineup. They're all were once on that team except for Smallwood, correct?
Last year. But once again, when you're camped out as the home team for how many straight years?
Yeah, but they got that team chemistry from all the years of being together.
But they got a bowl on others 7 different conditions this year.
Phil's harping on that this whole podcast. Right. This is not one condition. You've got to adjust week to week.
I understand that.
You can't get by if
be a huge
you can get by a match if one guy is off. You're not getting by a guy. You're not getting by another team in a match if 2 guys are off. And just with Fa, Smallwood, and Quintero, Smallwood's got to be on. And Fa and Quintero, Fa hasn't had. He's been great at the regional level for a couple of years. I mean, 3, 4, 5 years now. He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But when's the last time you saw him on a TV show other than when he won the Players Championship? And
I understand.
And you look at the season points, all that stuff.
I see that point.
But
you got Troop and Prather, and if Malot's
three guys can't get you through.
And you got the franchise.
3 guys can't get you through.
Well, I'll have kids knocking pins down because
they're going to damn bowling.
They're going to bowling heaven. I don't give a damn what happens.
Yeah.
I can't have my home team not show up at bowling heaven. Like, that cannot be a damn thing. I'm sorry. You got to do what you got to do, Tom Clark. Do not allow that.
I know Charlie Mitchell's now pulled my pass from Bayside Bowl. Sorry, Charlie.
Charlie, I don't even think about how mad he'll be. But see, again, I still think he gets a big crowd regardless.
Oh, yeah.
But not having Kyle Troop on TV, holy crap, that would be horrible. He is Dwight Albrecht, Spare Time Pro Shop. The last minute shopping needs for the holidays. Just go over there. And you can also follow him on Twitter at Dewey300. Phil Brylow, $2 Phil. Follow him at Bruce City Bowling. And anything new and exciting with you, Phil Brylow?
Just waiting for the 2024 PBA season to start.
Beautiful.
Just wait for that to get underway.
Same thing.
Yeah.
See Sparky Fifer here. Follow me at Sparky Radio. Like I said, we'll be back in January. Be looking out for us probably that first week of January after New Year's Day. We'll be back at it. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Have a good one. Have a good holidays. Toodles.